Let's start with a clip that sums up today in this case.
Gathered to that point, and why would you say or use that particular language particularly in your descriptions of the defendant?
So this is, 16, 18 hours later, and I conducted multiple interviews.
Speak up.
Conducted multiple interviews. We knew Mr. O'Keefe never went into Fairview Road. We knew there was one shoe at the scene, one shoe at the hospital. Based off Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, Miss Reed's statements when Sergeant Buchineck and I interviewed her, her broken taillight, the missing taillight, some taillight pieces found at the scene, the compelling evidence pointing directly at Miss Reed that she struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle led me to make those comments. Whether, like I said, they weren't professional comments, but based on the day's investigation, it was clear that Miss Reed had struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
Welcome to day 22 of the Karen Reed trial, and we continue today with two main investigators in the case against Karen Reed and one local police officer that assisted when they towed Karen's car. Welcome to the Roundup, True Crime with Mike. Here I give you an update to current cases so you can quickly catch up on today's or this week's happenings on some public cases. Let's start up with the finishing of Detective Buchineck's testimony. When we had left the cross on Friday, the talk was all about the mirrored video from the Sallyport. Looking at it, it looks off because it's not how we normally see a car, and Jackson started with that and wondered if it's really accurate if that's not how our mind sees things. Jackson talks about the video and how it's from 5:31 p.m. to 5:48 p.m. that night, but only 5 minutes of the video are shown. He then asks why 10 minutes are missing. Jackson asks why the video shows people apparating and just showing up. Buchineck tries to say that it's motion activated and will start up when a person moves, but he isn't the IT person, so he has no expertise in it. At 5:38 p.m., Proctor appears to walk away from the vehicle, and Proctor talks about how it's a 4-minute to drive from the station to the Fairview house. More was brought up on the videos, and then cross-examination ended. On redirect, Lally asked how he knew what to say to the medical examiner about Karen possibly hitting John with the glass on the lawn. Buchineck said that the firefighter Flamati told Sergeant Good that Karen told him that she hit him, and that this story was brought up to Buchineck's attention. On recross, Jackson asked if any of the reports had that, and Buchineck said no. Next up was Officer Nicholas Barros. He was an officer with Dighton Police Department. He was asked to help with going to Karen Reed's dad's place and securing the Lexus. His big information was that he saw that the light was cracked and looked like only one piece was missing. There was no cross. And then came the testimony of the witness that everyone had wanted to hear from, Detective Michael Proctor. People speculated that he would plead the fifth or not testify, or that he would be coming in with the feds right behind him. But no, he testified, and so far has not pled the fifth. He started with giving almost the same story as Buchineck. He met Buchineck at the station. They talked to Sergeant Good, who gave them a brief rundown of what happened. Buchineck and Proctor went over to the hospital to see if Karen was there, and she wasn't. They put the clothes in the evidence bags and then checked out John's body. Then they went over to Karen Reed's dad's place and talked with her, and then they worked with the local cops to tow Karen's SUV to the Sallyport. At the Sallyport, they didn't touch anything and taped it up and left. He then described over the next few days that they went back to the Alberts house to look for more evidence. They found the straw and more plastic pieces from the taillight. He opened up the bags to show the pieces. And then we got to the more non-crime related part. Proctor was asked about how he knew any of the Alberts. He said that his sister, whom he talks to often each day, knew them and the kids. He knew Chris and Julie, or she knew Chris and Julie, and he had met Chris and Julie a couple of times at social events and just said hi. And then after lunch came the juicier parts. This time Lally was prepared to hit the damage head on, so Proctor was given different text exchanges that were unprofessional and cringeworthy. The first one was from the night where he called Karen Reed, quote, "A whack job, see you next Tuesday," with no ass. Other texts included talking about her condition and saying, "Yeah, if you like women who poop themselves." I'm paraphrasing on a couple of these texts. He talked about how he was unprofessional and regrets the text he sent, and that was the clip shown earlier. He talked about his unprofessional conduct and summarizing what he knew on the night of the 29th. They went into an exchange where in late summer, after getting a search warrant, he was looking through Karen's phone and he told one of his groups that he found no nude pictures. He said he stopped looking when he found a text that was with a lawyer and he had to stop. There was even an exchange where he said, "I am looking at his retarded client's phone," referring to Yanetti and Reed being a retard. Lally finished his questions. Jackson went right to the nudes and asked if Proctor was looking for nudes of Karen. Proctor said no, and it was a bad joke. Jackson also wanted to know if he called Yanetti a retard, and Proctor said no, that was Karen. He said, "Do you like Yanetti?" And Proctor said no, he does not like him. That was the end of the day. There is no trial tomorrow, and we resume on Wednesday. Proctor is the testimony we've been wondering about and wondering what happened. He didn't plead the fifth, and we found out his bad text. So the moral dilemma that the jury has: do we let a drunk driver hit a boyfriend and let him die in snow and get away with it because of police crass, police bias, and police inappropriateness? Lally will need to stress on closing that the time that the car was in the garage was after the search started for things at the residence. So they would need to break the taillights and go over there and then drop them in front of everyone, and no one said a thing. The cross continues on Wednesday. Thank you for listening to an episode of The Roundup. Be safe out there, and remember, don't do anything bad that will end up on one of my episodes.